That was Montreal-based rockers Yester Daze with Backseat Bingo, one of the singles off of their debut EP, Yours to Follow. Yester Daze is made up of three members, Brandon McShad on guitar and lead vocals, Zach Lemay on bass, and Matt Ware on drums. The guys originally got together when Brandon hired Zach and Matt as session musicians for his solo project. But once the spark between these three ignited and the music became heavier and louder, they quickly decided that this new direction the music was going in needed a new band name. And so in 2018, Yester Daze was born. I caught up with the band's drummer, Matt, via Zoom to talk about the band's origin story, the making of their debut EP, and some pretty big names they got to work with because of it. Here's my chat with Matt Ware of Yester Daze. Hey Matt, how's it going, man?
Not too bad, you?
Doing all right. First off, man, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to doing this one. I've been listening to the EP a bunch and just really stoked to chat with one of the members of the band. I think I was supposed to talk to Brandon, but he had a family emergency or something last week.
I'm not sure, but anyways, thanks for having me regardless.
Yeah. Hopefully everything's okay over there.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't heard anything alarming. I'm not sure what. Honestly, I've been out of the loop a bit, but anyways.
Right on, man. Yeah. How's it going? How's the pandemic been treating you?
I mean, it's different, but it's fine. I'm lucky enough to have like a setup at home with my drums and everything with some microphones, so I'm able to play most of the time when I want. Obviously, not any time of the day, but it's good in that sense for me. Brandon and Zach, I know they're able to play at home as well, so
okay.
It's good on that side of things. However, for in-person things, obviously we can't play shows, which is a big, it sucks. But I mean, the whole world's in that situation right now, and we can practice every now and then. But normally we would do it at my house, but we can't really do that anymore. So. We practice when we can. It made things a little more difficult, but we're doing what we can. It's trying to make do with what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I find like everyone's kind of just like learning how to get by and how to survive. And a lot of bands, doing Zoom band meetings over Zoom, or just sending each other stems essentially, or tracks that they've recorded, and then you try and like figure stuff out like that. It's a very interesting way of life right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But I am excited with your band being relatively new. I'd like to kind of like dive into origin stories, or like at least like paint a bit of a picture of one.
Yeah, sure.
When talking to new bands, from another interview you had done, I believe it was with Bucket List, I just wanted to like touch on a couple of things that I thought were pretty interesting that I heard there. What I learned from that is that the whole band kind of started when you and Zach were performing with Brandon on his solo project. You were just like his session musicians, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah. How
different was that sound to what is now Yester Daze? Because I wasn't able to find any of Brandon's stuff. I don't know if he just like took it off. Or...
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah. It was it's quite different, honestly. As soon as we became like a band, I guess you could say, as opposed to like a solo act with supporting musicians, the sound has definitely changed a lot. I guess we've gotten like slightly heavier. I describe Brandon's music as being like very poppy, like pop rock, more, I don't know, I guess approachable for the general listeners, but it's definitely gotten a lot, I guess, darker or heavier in a sense.
Okay.
Zach and I are much more influenced by like heavier bands. I listen to a lot of metal and stuff, Gojira, Slipknot, heavy bands like that. Obviously we aren't that heavy, but Zach has his own set of influences as well. They're more on the heavier side, I would say. And that's not to say Brandon doesn't have heavy influences, but he definitely listens to a lot more poppy bands, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of, I think it meshes well together. The sound has definitely gotten heavier, but at the same time, it's not too heavy. But I'd show you if I could. I don't have any copies of anything, but the contrast it's quite alarming, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. That's why you decided like the kind of stuff we're making now as a band, like this deserves a new name. I would imagine that's kind of
because initially when we first joined Brendan, or when he first took us on, I should say, he was in charge, I guess. It was his songs. We were basically brought on to play shows and stuff. But then over time, we started jamming, we started practicing, and we started coming up with our own stuff. And Brendan and I kind of had a conversation where it was like, I think it should be a band, and Brendan was in full agreement. And then that's when we were like, all right, let's make it a band. And we moved on from there. Took us a while to find a name because every name in the world is taken.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely once we started to collaborate a bit more and each throw in our ideas, that's when we realized we should probably change it from a solo act to a band.
Cool. And what kind of time frame are we talking here? So, because the band formed in 2018.
Yeah. I think when did I start? Oh boy, it might have been I think it was the beginning of 2018, if I'm not mistaken, when we first hopped on. I know it was in the winter. It's been a few years.
So this was a pretty quick transition.
Yeah, overall, I think I could be totally mistaken though. I'm trying to remember, but actually, it might have been. No, it was longer than that. I'm totally wrong here. Okay. It was. I think it was. I forget. We started one winter. It might have been winter of 2017. Actually, I think it was that. And we started playing with him, and we played through the summer. We played a show in the fall. And then the following winter in 2018, that's when we kind of had that conversation. Like, all right, we've been together for a year now. We're all throwing in our parts. Let's be a band. And that's when we changed it.
Cool. I found it interesting too that you had all gone to the same high school.
Yeah.
Only Zach and Brandon were I guess friends in high school, and you guys knew of each other but didn't really hang out at all.
Yeah. So, Brandon was a grade above us. Okay. Zach and I were in the same grade. Brandon was a grade above us. And I think Brandon and Zach knew each other because they had done some kind of they've done music events at the school and stuff like that. So they knew each other through there. But for some reason, which I honestly kind of regret, I didn't really do any music events until grade 11. And anyways, I don't know why, but so Brendan didn't really know of me or didn't really know I was a drummer. And then the following year, he was at the variety show. We held a big variety show every year. And Zach, one of our friends named Julian, and myself, we ended up playing in the variety show. And that's when Brandon first saw me. Okay. And then anyways, time went on. Nothing happened then. I knew who he was. He had big poofy hair, so he was hard to miss at the time. But I knew who he was, but we never really spoke in high school. And then he sort of branched off. He started doing his solo stuff. And then he brought Zach on, and Brandon was looking for a drummer, and Zach recommended me. And then Brandon remembered that I played at the variety show with him. And that's how it all kind of started.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How in high school you have the different groups. You have the jocks, you have the stoners, and all of that. What group were Brandon and Zach in, and what group were you in that your social circles didn't really cross paths?
Oh boy. I want to say, I hope he's not mad. I want to say Zach was a bit more on the stoner side, but not really. Brandon, honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really pay attention to him too much in that regard. Definitely none of us were jocks or anything. Definitely not in that friend group. I was friends. I'm probably somewhere in the middle of everything. I don't drink or anything like that, so I'm definitely not part of that group. But I have a lot of friends who are, we play video games and stuff like that. I guess nerdy-ish, but not all out nerdy. But
okay.
I don't know. An average kid, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. And Brandon, I'm not really sure because he was a grade above, so I was never really with him. I didn't really know too much about his friends or anything like that, so I couldn't really tell you, unfortunately.
True. All right, no worries. How long have you been drumming for?
At this point, I think 11 years or so. I think I started in the 6th grade when I was 10 or 11, and my dad brought home a drum kit. And it was actually for his birthday. Okay. It was going to be his kit for his 40th birthday. And So much for that. I took it over. And he barely played, and I played it all the time, and that's where it started. Yeah. So
Cool.
about 10, 11 years ago.
And what were you doing before Yesterdays was a thing? Were you in other bands or just kind of drumming for yourself?
I was just mainly drumming for myself. I would often just play two songs. I'd have it playing through my headset and learn a bunch of songs that way. Listening to music, going to see different big bands. I would occasionally jam with Zach and my friend Julian from high school, the one we did the variety show with, but we weren't necessarily like a band. Yesterdays is technically like the first band I joined.
Okay.
But yeah, before that I was just playing for myself, really.
Right.
Just enjoying it.
Something I thought was funny, like you'd mentioned it, that you guys were struggling to come up with a name for the band.
Yeah.
And Brandon kind of credited you for really getting the main idea of Yesterday's together. You had another name written down. I think it was like Yesterday's Past or something like that.
I think it was Yesterday's Mirage or something like that. Again, I don't really remember the meaning behind it. It took us like a month or two to come up with a name. No joke. We just throw stuff at the wall and see what stuck. But I don't know. It was some kind of play on words of how like, what's happened and just kind of move forward, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are just like affected by the past, but it's all kind of a mirage. It was some kind of weird, I don't know, me trying to be philosophical or something, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of worked with that and it sounded cool. So I brought that up, and then we ended up eliminating that third word and just making it Yesterdays. I guess it's more simple. It's straightforward. It's
for sure.
A shorter name. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was funny in that interview. You were just like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that."
yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Well, even now, it's like you bring something up, but I can't remember everything. Yeah,
man, it's so weird because of like the whole pandemic thing. I just feel like time as a construct just like doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. No, the weeks fly by, even though there's like kind of nothing to do. They fly by like they never happen. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Are you still a gamer?
Yeah. No, I still play. It's come in pretty clutch with the pandemic. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I'll play. I play pretty much every day. And
what games do you play?
Lately, what have I been playing? I play Minecraft, NHL, Call of Duty. Occasional small games with friends. There's like Phasmophobia. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I haven't. I don't know what that is.
It's some weird, funky ghost game, but it's fun to play with friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll play whatever my friends are playing pretty much.
Right.
If it's not too expensive.
Yeah. Are you on PC or?
Yeah, I built a PC in the fall, and I have a PlayStation as well, PS4.
Cool. Nice. So, nice. I was one of the lucky few to manage to score a PS5.
Oh yeah,
man, it was the hardest thing to do. Like I must have been on the release radar things like every single day, and like nothing came on market. And then I was driving for someone. I had to go like outside of Toronto, like maybe an hour to go pick something up for someone. And while I was doing that, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna call every EB Games on the path and then all the way back. And EB Games were like, no, dude, we don't have it. Like, stop trying. So then I just called like some random small store, and they actually had one, and they weren't selling it for like a ridiculous amount of money. So I managed to score one, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty
that's
happy.
That's a bonus. Yeah. You're the second person I've heard or to know that has gotten a PS5. I only know one other guy, and he bought it off. I only know one
other guy too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. He bought it off of Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, really? Did he have to pay like double price almost?
Not even. I think he got it for like 600 or just slightly above like the market rate. Like wow. It was. Yeah, I was impressed.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, let's digress talking about video games. I'm a big gamer too, so. Once you guys decided to be a band, what has like the writing process for music been? Is it very like hands-on? Everyone has their thing, or?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say it's pretty hands-on. Like we'll often come in with like an idea or something. I'll play a beat, or Brendan will come in and play a riff, or Zach, whatever, and we can work on it from there. However, more often than not, I find it's a song will come out of nowhere. Like we'll just be warming up and just practicing and playing whatever. And then Brendan will start playing something, and then I just stop playing and I'm like, do that again. And then he'll play it again. And then Zach's like, oh yeah, okay. And then he'll join in, and he'll start playing. And it happens like countless times where it just comes out of nowhere.
Right.
Like our song, the first track off the EP, Light It Up, it happened like that. Oh, Brendan had an idea in his bathroom and he came and he played it. The song Other Side happened like that, if I'm not mistaken, where Zach just started playing a weird thing and then it was done in like 2 hours. It often happens like that.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's a pretty like collaborative thing. More often than not. Sometimes Brendan will come in with a song idea and like explain it to us and show us the structure, and then we kind of just right on top of it. We fill in the gaps. Yeah, exactly. Like I think backseat bingo was like that, where Brendan had the idea, he brought it in, and we kind of, refined it a bit, or I guess we put our 2 cents in.
Right, for sure.
And yeah, but it's always fun because it's never like totally one person. It's like everybody's always open to whatever. If I have an idea, I'm open to change it, or we're always listening to each other and what we want to do with it. So
right.
It's always fun. Cool.
And like now, are you guys still writing like new songs actively, right? Like these days? When we can, yeah. Yeah. We always have ideas and we're always listening to new stuff. So we always get inspired by different things. So when we have ideas, like a lot of the times I'll be drumming, just messing around, and I'll come up with a drum beat and then I'll just pull out my phone, throw it on the floor, record a voice memo and just play it quick and then send it to the group. And what can we do with this? And then, oh, that sounds cool. Okay, I'll think about it and stuff like that. So we're always, I guess you could say we're always kind of writing. We always have ideas to go, but yeah, with COVID, it's different, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're always working on something. Yeah, it sounds like you can still kind of do. You're just missing the like that instantaneous part of it, just like all being in the same room together. But it sounds like it's pretty much the same. Like you'll have the drum beat, like you said, you'll send it off, and then the guys are like, "Oh, cool! Here's a bass line for it or a guitar riff," and then you can build it that way, right? Yeah. And with the home recording setups, it helps too. But it's like when we jam in person when we can, like depending on what the province's like restrictions are. Like we jammed a lot in the summer, but then we kind of went back on lockdown, and we've jammed a couple times in the winter. Then we went on lockdown, and we're not so much on lockdown anymore. We still have curfew, but like there's a guideline that says bands are allowed to rehearse within rehearsal spaces. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. So obviously following, like wearing masks and following all the protocols and everything. But it's still not the same though. Like we could still do it, but it's not as, I don't know, as comfortable. Like when we could do it in my basement, it's, you could come and hang out for an afternoon, and if you get bored, you can just take a break, watch a movie or something, and then, oh, you have an idea, and then we can jump back in. Right. Whereas now it's very much like get in, practice, do whatever, get out. Right. So it's, even though we can every now and then get together in person, it's still not the same like kind of dynamic. Yeah, that camaraderie and like just letting stuff like inspiration strikes in the weirdest times, right? Like you might watch a movie and like hear something in the soundtrack, or just, I don't know, like, yeah, I can totally get that. Like it's kind of hard to like force creativity when like, okay, we have an hour, we got to come up with something. Yeah. The band has to date, at least from what I can see on Spotify, you've released 4 singles, 3 of which are coming on the upcoming EP, which is called Yours to Follow. Can you tell me about the title? So it's actually a lyric out of the song Light It Up. Okay. And honestly, I think it was Brendan who kind of had the idea to put that as the title. I'm not sure. It's been a while. It's been in the works forever. Like, yeah, absolutely. Everything was done recording. We recorded everything before COVID even happened, and we're only releasing it now. So right.
but I think we were looking for something to put either one of the titles of the songs, but we figured no, that wouldn't really work out. And then we just started looking through the lyrics of the songs, and there's one line in "Light It Up." I think it's "We're yours to follow," and we just figured, yeah, yours to follow. That works, like it's you interpret it how you want to do it, take it where you want to go. So here's our music. It's yours to follow.
Right.
Figured,
yeah. Yeah,
So,
I thought it was something like that, which I thought was like pretty smart, which is pretty cool. And I didn't realize it was one of the lyrics from a song, which makes it like a bit more meaningful for you guys too, which is cool. I really love the album art, man. It's very, very cool. Who do you know who came up with it?
Yeah. So that's another interesting thing. So if I'm not mistaken, he lives in the Philippines.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, his name is Julian Akbar, I believe. And Brendan and I, we both, I think it was Brendan who followed him first. On Instagram, Brendan came across this guy's page, and he posts his artwork all the time. And Brendan showed it to me, and I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. He has his own unique style, and all the stuff is really nice. So I started following him as well. And when it came time to get a cover for the EP, we figured why not see what this guy has. So we were going through his page and all his different artworks, and we came across the one that's now on the cover. It had different writing, of course, but this guy Julian Akbar, he gives you the option where like he can customize it for you. Like we paid for it, but he can customize it for you and make it yours and everything like that. So Brandon sent him a message, and he did it, and we sent him some money through PayPal, and there we go. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Did this like all happen during COVID too, or?
Yeah, that I think it did. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. It's so again, that's like something so cool that like a lot of artists that I've interviewed, like they're just reaching out to people like in Germany and the UK or whatever. And it's something that may not have happened if it weren't for COVID. I think I'm just trying to like grasp at positives, for the last year, just because it's been such a shit show. So man, like I think the art really meshes well with the style of music too. I was just staring at this and like listening to the EP right before this actually, and I was just like, this just makes sense. It just feels right.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing we got from it too. It was Brendan who really pointed it out, and he showed the picture to us, and we were both like, oh yeah, we're on board.
Cool.
I agree. It definitely fits the style. So it's good. It's good to hear that somebody else agrees with it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. The one name that I recognize for the team that helped put the EP together, Harry Hess. So from my understanding, again, this is just from other interviews, but Brandon has worked with Matt at Avebury Studios for a while. I'm guessing with his solo stuff. But how did Dave and Harry Hess get involved in the making of this project?
Well, it's an interesting story. So Matt was always working with Brandon, so that's always the guy we would initially go to. In fact, it still is the guy we go to for recording. Dave came on the scene, or he reached out to us after we participated in this rock competition called Rockalypse. It happens every year in Montreal.
Okay.
And all the bands they play like a 20-minute set. I think there's like 8 bands or 10 bands or something like that get accepted into it. And there's prizes for first, second, and third, I believe. And like first place prize is like a slot in this big festival in Quebec. Second place is a mini tour in, I think it was Italy or something at the time, which was like, oh my God.
That seems crazy for a second prize.
And third place, I can't remember, but we played that show. It was awful. We played terrible. We all walk off stage. We're like, oh my God, it was terrible. We were all like so bummed out. Needless to say, we didn't get first, second, or third.
Okay.
But anyways, Dave was there. And a little later on, he sent a message to us, and he's like, hey guys, I saw you at Rockalypse. I was wondering if you want to come by and check out my studio. So we went by, and we knew who he was. He's the drummer in the band, The Damn Truth, who are pretty well known here in Montreal. And so we're like, oh, this is pretty cool. Okay, so we'll go meet with him. So we went, we talked with him. He showed us his studio. His studio is really, really awesome. Like it's got a cool vibe to it. And, he started talking to us and what he liked and what he thought we should do, like just giving us like friendly advice based off of his experience and stuff.
Right.
And he explained like for mixing this and that. And so anyways, we took that, we moved on. We started recording again with Matt at Avebury. But then what we did was we took the stems of the recordings and we sent them over to Dave, and he started mixing it. And he mixed our first single, Beautiful Day. And compared to anything we'd done in the past, the mix was like unbelievable. And we were like, oh my God, this is too good. So then we went back to Dave again with all the songs from the EP, and he mixed them all. And we're so impressed with how it turned out. So over time as well, when he's been hearing our stuff, he likes our stuff, and he just keeps on giving us advice, like you should try and push this, always be active on social media, even if it seems like you're being annoying, because the more you post, the more you have a presence.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. Stuff like that. So he's been giving us a ton of tips, which like, just, he's a good guy. Like we never ask him for anything. He just always, and once he was done all the mixes, then he brought up Harry Hess, and he was like, listen, he's like the guy in Canada to go to for mastering. He'll do a master way better than I can do a master. So he's like, I recommend going to him. So instead of taking our money himself, Dave recommended this other guy.
Wow. Dave
master.
Really sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And so that's how we kind of got in touch with Harry. So we reached out to him, and he mastered it, and that brought us here.
It sounds like the new EP does sound huge. It's so good. For the listeners that don't know, Harry Hess is really well known in Canada, but he's mastered for the likes of Billy Talent and 3 Days Grace. So some like pretty big names.
Yeah.
So that must have just been exciting too, just to have someone that's had hands on albums, just super famous albums to come out, which is sweet. Would this have then been the first time for you recording in a studio?
When more or less, like when I first started with Brendan, like Beautiful Day was the first song that I recorded in a studio. And then after that, this EP. So not the first time, but it's still, the whole studio thing is still relatively fresh, but honestly, it's awesome. I could do it all day, every day. Like it's awesome, always a good time. Yeah.
I'm curious to know what Matt's process is like for, like, is he a very hands-on producer? Does he kind of just like let you do your thing?
How would I describe it? He's kind of like the best of both worlds, I guess. He's good like that. Like he knows he won't overstep, but at the same time, if he feels something is lacking, he'll give a suggestion. And one of the best examples of that I have is in the song Light It Up. At the end of the song, the way we finish it now, I do this like big drum roll, and Brendan and Zach just strum out these notes on the guitar, like right at the end. And it just, I was like, oh, it's a good ending. And that was never there in the first place.
Oh,
that was Matt's suggestion.
Cool.
And we just kind of ended it, I don't know, just, that's it. Cut it out. Like we finished playing the riff and whoop, that's done. And we thought that was cool. And then Matt brought up that suggestion, and it was like, oh my God. And it made the song like clicked. Way better. And so like he'll get hands-on like that sometimes, but he never, like if we say no, it's okay, that's it, fine. And we'll move on. But we know him very well. Like he's a friend too. Like he's been to our shows and stuff like that. And it's just fun to work with him. Like we're always comfortable. It's like we're hanging out. It's not like we're under pressure or anything like that. And he always gives suggestions. He always, like he'll listen to what we have to hear. I remember I saw him in some kind of interview. I forget who interviewed him, but he was explaining how he feels like it's his job to make the artists feel comfortable in the studio. And he does a pretty good job of it. So he doesn't overstep too much, but like he's hands on, but he's not hands on. He's the perfect balance, honestly.
Right.
We always like going to him to record because it's just a good environment, and we're always comfortable and we always get good results. So
Right. Yeah, which is so important too, right? Like you got to be in your comfort zone in order to let creativity like flourish, and that totally makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is your favorite track off the new EP?
Probably Light It Up.
Yeah.
Personally, just because I find it the most fun to play.
Okay.
It's the most, I guess, active. It's like a good pump up song, I guess.
Yeah, definitely is for sure.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's always fun to play faster songs on the drums. But also Other Side is a blast to play on the drums too. There's some cool parts on the toms and stuff towards the end of the song. But probably for me anyways, I think I would say Light It Up, just because of the pump up feel of it.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally get that. That was the first song of the band I'd heard at all. And I was just like, holy shit, what is this? Who are these guys? So yeah, I totally agree with that. I really like that. It must be a bit nerve wracking releasing your first EP during a pandemic. Is that like something that you're kind of scared of, or?
I don't know. I'm okay with it. I'm excited to get it out personally.
Yeah.
I'm always, I just want people to hear it, and so far we've been getting really, really good feedback. So it's always good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. Obviously it's like a completely unknown thing to anybody releasing during a pandemic, but like we kind of, I don't know, we held off. We could have released this much earlier. But we kind of held off for a while, I think, to see what would happen. Mm-hmm. And then after talking with different people, like Brendan's sister, she's like our manager.
Okay.
She went to school in, I don't know what exactly, something to do with the music industry, I think. So she's very well versed in this area. And her and one of her friends that works at this, I think it's a PR agency or whatever you want to call it in Toronto called Looters. Mm-hmm. They were kind of like, this is a good opportunity because, there's nothing out there right now. And, if you put it out there, like everybody's on social media all the time, there's nothing to do. People are listening to music, mm-hmm. It's, so they were like, this is a good time to put stuff out. It's like a good opportunity, as much as you can't play shows or anything, or, life kind of sucks right now.
Right.
It's a good opportunity to put it out. So we kind of took that in and figured, we agreed. And so we decided to put it out. So it's, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's nerve-wracking necessarily. That's just my opinion, though, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited. I'm always excited to hear people's reactions or to see what they think of the song. So,
right, for sure. Do you guys have like a bunch of new material that's kind of like on the cusp of ready to go too, or?
Yes and no. We have a lot of ideas. Nothing's like finished yet.
Okay.
A lot of refining, but we always, like I was saying before, we always have ideas in out there, so we just gotta take the time to put stuff together.
Right.
But yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is gonna be kind of more generalized music talk, but in the Q&A that you guys did from your YouTube channel, it was very apparent that there's a lot of different music tastes in the band, but that Foo Fighters is like the one band that you can all agree on that's really good, which obviously they are. But what I found interesting hearing from you is, like you said, you're into the heavier stuff, but like we're talking like kind of like getting into black metal with, like you mentioned, Behemoth and Zeal and Adora, I think, came up as well, and then Slipknot. So are you a big Joey Jordison fan?
Yeah, well, when I first started drums, he was probably my biggest like influence, or my, the person I looked up to the most. And yeah, like Joey, I don't know. It's because when you're starting, obviously, like the fast drums and the complicated drumming, it's like, oh my God, that's like, that's what you want to do. And over time now I've learned to kind of play more to the song.
Right.
But, as a kid, Joey Jordison, it was like, oh my God. Yeah. So he's definitely a big influence. And over time, I started getting into other things. My friend Julian, I think in grade 7, recommended the band Gojira.
Okay.
And they've become one of my favorite bands for sure. And their drummer, Mario Duplante, has become a massive influence. He's an unbelievable drummer. And yeah. And I'm definitely into more of the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heavier drummers that I'm influenced by for sure.
Do you find it like, well, you mentioned like you're learning to kind of play for the music now. Was that kind of hard at first? Were you just like, I want to go fast, I want to go hard?
Yeah, when I first started with Brendan, it's like the music was more poppy, and so the drums weren't complicated. They weren't out there, but they worked with the songs, And I always had that itch to play more, but I had to kind of, sit back, be patient, and play to the song.
Right.
But nowadays I find myself I'll still play when I'm just messing around. I'll play fast and I'll do whatever, but when we're coming up with songs and stuff, I find I'm a lot more focused now on playing for the song as opposed to playing a complicated drum part.
Okay.
Like if I don't have to show people that I can play complicated drums, like if you look at a lot of the biggest bands, the drumming isn't necessarily complicated, but that doesn't mean people aren't good drummers,
Yeah. For sure.
And if there were certain songs out there that had complicated drums, it just wouldn't work as well with the song.
Right.
And so nowadays I find I'm much more focused on playing for the song as opposed to playing fast.
Yeah.
But the itch is still there sometimes.
Sure,
I can't deny it.
Are you is there room in the live shows to do any like drum solos where you can kind of just let that off a bit?
Yeah. We usually throw in a drum solo here or there. If Zach and Brendan have to tune down or change tunings or something like that, it's like, okay, well, can I do a drum solo?
Right.
I'll do that, and then they can go do their thing. And
for sure.
Awesome. That's always a blast.
What band or artist has been helping you get through the pandemic the most? Who have you been listening to the most, would you say?
I've been listening to a lot of Royal Blood.
Yeah.
To be honest. Royal Blood is like, there isn't one song that I don't like from Royal Blood.
Cool.
It's, I don't know. Their sound is so unique and they have such cool tones with the bass and Royal Blood. Who else? Probably a bit of Foo Fighters. Lately, they're Pretty Reckless since they released their new album.
Yeah, which is great. Cool. Yeah, it's an awesome album.
Yeah, them. Who else? Gojira has been releasing some music too. They just announced recently that they have an album coming out soon.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a bunch of other stuff too, but those are probably the biggest ones, especially cool. Royal Blood.
Yeah, for sure. How do you generally go about finding new music?
Often I have Apple Music, and what I'll often do is just go on a band I know, like go on Royal Blood on their page, and at the bottom they have suggestions for other artists, and I'll just start going through randomly. I'll look at the bottom. Often it's bands but if there's one I don't know, I'll click on that and I'll start listening. It's like, so then I'll go to the bottom again and I'll click a different band and stuff like that. Also through like hearing stuff from Brendan or Zach, they might suggest something or, like often just finding connections with like bands that I know, similarities and stuff like that.
For sure.
Like it'll be, like 10 at night and I'm just listening to music on iTunes or on Apple Music and I'm just browsing. And that's probably the main way.
Yeah.
But also sometimes bands will put stuff on their socials like, oh, you got to check out this group or you got to check out that. And there's that too. But I would say mainly just browsing through Apple Music, honestly.
Cool. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, that's how I've been doing it. I just ask everyone that just to find out if there's some website I don't know about or a blog or anything like that. So, okay, if you kind of do that on the regular, what's like the latest and greatest find that you've come across, like a band that's very new to you that you're just like, wow, these guys are exciting?
I came across one band. It's not like the usual stuff I would listen to, but they're called the Sleep Token. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Sleep Token's sick. Yeah. They got like a very Deftones vibe to them.
Yeah, it's like they get super heavy, almost like genty kind of, but then they also get like all like existential or something, I guess. Like it gets very out there. I thought that band is pretty cool. I've been showing that to a couple of my friends too. It's weird though. It's not normally what I would listen to, but at the same time, it's really well done. And their whole,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, their whole like mysterious vibe to them or look is pretty cool too. Like you don't know who they are.
Yeah,
and they have like a mask on, and it's just like focus on the music. We don't worry about us. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I like that too. That's pretty interesting.
But I know what you mean. There's that whole like mystique going on with the band, which is wicked. Do you have any recommendations for local Montreal bands that people should check out?
There's a few we know. Well, first off, The Damn Truth. Got to give props to
they're wicked.
Dave just for everything he's done, and they're really solid. There's also the Motor League. We've given them a couple shout outs and stuff like that, and they've followed us on socials. Who else? It's been a while. It's been a while since we've worked with a lot of smaller bands, like more unknown bands. Brennan would be the guy to ask for this. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the bands, but definitely The Damn Truth, Motor League. Yeah.
Cool, man. Dude, thank you so much. This has been a great, fun chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries, man. And so if you haven't yet, go listen to the EP. It is wicked. And yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to when you're able to perform again. I'd love to see you guys perform live. It sounds like it'd be a fun band.
Thanks, man. We're looking forward to it too, for sure.
Cool. Cheers, dude. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too, man.
Cheers.